You've got to hold yourself accountable. Okay, so next, what's the next piece in the puzzle? We've set our goals, we're doing our key activities. Then what do we do?
Well, I still want to know those consequences that people do.
We'll get there.
Measure.
Measure what?
Results.
How do you know whether there's consequences or rewards? You don't know if you don't measure your results, right? We're really good at measuring results when we're getting big wins. I mean, do you see them running around the hall with the 3-deal fist pump?
Oh yeah, totally.
Guess what? I mean, and you all have felt it, right? I made a call and it worked. I have heard almost every single one of you guys say that at some point in time. And then we measure, because it's like exciting. It's fun. It's kind of like stepping on the scale when you know you've nailed it for a week, and you almost can't wait to step on the scale for the weigh, because you're like, man, I know I ate right, I drank my water, I exercised, I did everything I was supposed to do. And then there's the other week when you're like, I ate, the desk in my office, I ate anything that was in front of me, I stayed on the couch, I didn't move. I am not about to measure those results. I mean, but we laugh because we've all been there, correct? I'm coming back from vacation, I don't even want to go in the bathroom because then the scale's there, and I know what I ate and drank and didn't do. So we measure, we know how, every single one of us knows how to measure the results. We just choose when to apply it, when it feels good. But yet we've got to measure the results in order to move forward. Like Marcy said, what are these consequences? How do you know if you're going to have consequences if you don't know where you are? So what does that look like? How do you measure the results? What does that process look like? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? What do you guys do?
I like it.
Go ahead, and then you.
Well, I think you need a scoreboard. First time in my life, I think, well, not quite the first time, but I got a copy of a coaching sheet, which is the sheet that if you have a coach, I don't have a coach yet, but if you have a coach, they require you to fill that out every week before your coaching call. They're going to say, how many days did you work, how many people did you call, how many contacts did you have, and those are called leading indicators. You can't just wait till the end of the year and say, how did I do, measure my results. That's because how do you know if you're going to make your goals? How close are you? And you have to check that regularly. So I have in my office now, I have a board that has all those indicators. And every week I sit down and I write down how many appointments did I have, how many calls did I make, how many contacts did I make, how many deals did I write, how many deals fell through, how many listings. So I have all this whole, there's about 11 or 12 indicators that I'm checking every week. And then I have a monthly column. So how did I do for the month? Then I have my monthly goal, and then my every January through December with my yearly goal at the end. So I should be able to know my numbers.
Sounds like a 411.
But just glancing at the board, exactly I can tell where I'm at, and where I'm doing. Exactly. So that way I can hopefully make my goal. And if I know I need to make more appointments, my appointments are lagging. Well, hey, I've got to do more lead gen or something. I've got to make it up.
Sounds like you're running a business.
Somebody's got a high C.
You have to. At some point in your business, and there's no excuses whether you have a C or you don't have a C, somewhere has to be some C.
I was kind of like Tracy Williams, her little post-it notes. She just like do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's go back to what does Gary Keller say about a contact management system? Which is the best contact management system for you to use? The one you use. I don't care if it's an index card box with index cards in it. I am so not attached to what it looks like. If it's Post-it notes, if it's a scoreboard, I mean, we can give you a ton of tips. You can go walk around the building and look at everybody else's scoreboard. Say, okay, what does yours look like? And get some ideas. I'm working with Crystal Rogers to build their scoreboard right now out at Remax Dynamic in Wasilla, because they understand you have to track the numbers. So Jeff, you were talking about weekly as well.
Yeah, I like weekly, and one thing I found to add on to that is like we do social accountability. Like it's just one thing on our team is we get leads from the team. We have to accept them, of course, contact them, all that stuff. We have to accept them. So for however many leads we get, if we haven't accepted them, it'll show on the board like Jeff 18, and he'll be like, I'm like,
you're on the spot.
Take your damn lead, like
yeah.
Help them. Like you're always gonna do anything. They went from 18 yesterday to 32. Like what? It should be 0 every day. Right. And so we can get on like, hey man, what's going on? You know, are you busy? You need to transfer.
Accountability.
Yeah. And then we also do one accountability partner and copy somebody on it too. Like what's your top 5 for the day? How did yesterday go? And what's your top 5 today? We're just getting back into this. We slack on it big time. But that's helped because we're like, hey, You didn't call your 18 contacts and you say you're doing 3 appointments today, why are you here to eat out? Get out
Well,
there.
you just hit on something really good though, when you said, it's, if I have 18 leads sitting here in my inbox and everybody can see it, and I haven't accepted them, then, I don't know if you guys heard him say this, he kind of said it under his breath, like, if I was on the team and I could say, well, do you want me to take some of those for you? But, and maybe you do, I mean, there may be that point. Here's the thing, guys, you all have leads sitting in your inbox, somebody's gonna take them. Somebody's selling them a house. If they wanna buy a house, you understand they're gonna buy or sell a home with or without you. They may choose Matt, they may choose Barb Huntley, they may choose Gordon Sloan, or they can choose you. You're in control of that to a large degree. If they want to buy or sell, they will buy or sell, period. If they can't find your number, are they gonna then delay the choice to put off buying a house? No. So when Jeff says, I really appreciate you saying that, because when he says, I have 18 leads sitting in my inbox, I know what a bunch of you are thinking. Well, I don't have 18 leads, I'm not on a team, I don't get those kind of leads, I don't have that sitting in my inbox. Bull crap, you do, because everybody in this room knows 18 people. Everybody has them, it's a matter of whether you're gonna contact them or not. And someone will say, I'll take your leads, I'll gladly sell them, and or go sell them property. So measuring your results looks like a scoreboard. It looks like, it looks like all these things. And I mean, trust me, y'all, I understand this. I hate tracking data. I am not a data person. Allison will tell you. I hate it with a passion, and I love what it gets me. I love it. I love knowing what our target number is for January, and any one of our staff right now can tell you where we are on that journey. Because we're tracking. And as much as I don't like the process, you understand, and I wish I could find the quote, I've been digging around to find it. I put it on my Facebook, and I can't find it now. The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is not that successful people like to do the hard activities. They dislike them just as much as anybody else. They just choose that they want the results that they bring them, and therefore they do them. The unsuccessful people just choose not to do it because they don't like you. So we measure our results, and then what happens? Who said it? Somebody said it. Celebrate. Long Island iced tea. Any excuse. Make adjustments. This right here is the stage each of you should be in right now. This is where you should be living this week, making adjustments. Okay, so my goal was to take 6 listings. I'll put you on the spot. How many listings did you take? Short or, okay, took 3. So what do you know for February? You have 9. Okay, great. Now, if you had gone into January or finished January with 6 listings, what would your goal for February be? 6, right? So she's making an adjustment. Okay, so you say, maybe I need, how far back does that adjustment go? Maybe it means I need more contacts. This is your ultimate, lead measure, right? If you've hit your goals, fantastic. Then guess what? You get to choose. Dial it back, ramp it up. Take a day off. It doesn't matter. Those are the adjustments you get to make, right? Talk to me about making adjustments. What do you guys think? What works for you?
Well, obviously increasing the amount of contacts you make would be the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
But tracking appointments is what, is kind of what I track more than contact. But I mean, I understand that it starts with the contact. But appointments are what I think increases my odds of hitting my goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of the numbers are critical. I mean, you've got to see, because you may be spot on your appointments, and you just haven't converted. Your conversion rate, I mean, that's true. It's a seasonal time of the year. That's reality. You guys are business owners. Think like them. You may have a lower conversion rate in the month of January because that listing appointment is not listening to you that now is the time to put the property on the market because there is no competition. That's okay. They're still going to list in March. So it's going to show up, like they intended to, but you may have a softer conversion rate, and you may look and say, man, I hit my appointment goal, the listings or the written contracts didn't come together like I was hoping, that's okay, I'm gonna tack them on to the next month because I know I'm doing the right things.
Something's gotta be increased,
Right,
cause Jeff
something,
probably got that lead,
exactly, exactly.
It's the lead measure, lag measure thing, and the things that we can adjust are the lag measures. Those are the things we can control. So I cannot control whether or not I get 6 listings a month. What I can control is my lead gen time and what I do to prospect and get those 6 listings a month, and those are your lag measures.
Correct.
And so when you're making adjustments, you make adjustments in your lag measures, in the things you can control.
Well, and understand that you're using the word control. I want you to get this. Most realtors feel like they are at the mercy of the market. That's the mindset that people have. There's just nothing happening, nobody's buying or selling, you hear victim written all over it, but we feel like we're at the mercy of the market. You have absolute control over your business. The challenge is most people don't choose to exert control. And they choose to control the wrong things, like trying to pressure the buyer into writing because this buyer's right here and I need him to write an offer when it might not be the right time for them to buy a house. So then you go, instead of exerting control there and stressing out and freaking out because they're not listening, push control where you are effective in those lead measures that Lance is talking about.
With my Tuesday morning accountability group, we were talking about, because we've been going through the actual book by Stephen R. Covey, the 4 Disciplines of Execution, because they all watched the video and now we're going through the book. And one of the things that the book states that the video does not about lag measures is you don't set lag measures out for more than a month. You be careful not to go out more than a month. You set them usually like a week to a month of the things you can control. And it's a constant evolution of, you're changing those lag measures all the time and tweaking them to meet your lead measure, your overall goal.
Correct. So the thing is again, I'll go back to weight loss because that's it's just another one that just works and people can make the connection on it. If you step on the scale and you hit a plateau, you make an adjustment, right? You go, I didn't drink enough water. I didn't exercise enough. I know I ate a bag of chips 3 days in a week. Whatever it may be, you know in your head the activity that you did or didn't do, and you can make a minor adjustment to correct it, right? Yes, go ahead.
Well, any dietitian or somebody who's helping you lose weight also will tell you, write down what you eat every day, write down your exercise and everything else, and it just transfers back over to
there's
this.
a reason I use weight loss all the time as my analogy when we talk about accountability, because it's the exact same principle. I mean, literally Lynn, what I know, this is something you're super involved in and passionate about as well. The same exact principles apply. You set a goal, you do the activities, you measure your results, which means you have to track your data in order to measure your results. What will people tell you? Oh, you gained a pound? This week, write down every single bite that goes into your mouth. And you'll see on paper what you actually consumed versus what you thought you consumed. It's kind of like when you get to the end of the week and you go, man, I feel like I lead generated so hard this week, and you look at your data and you go, wait a minute, I only called 5 people. But they don't lie. The data doesn't lie, and we, not that anybody in this room is a liar, pants on fire, but we lie to ourselves all the time. We all do it, every single one of us.
It's called denial.
Denial. We live in a state of denial.
Justify.
Justify, rationalize, all
Somebody
those
told me
things.
that justification is the wax on a slide to hell. It's true though.
I like that. Okay, so now let's talk about the people. Let's talk about the people piece of it. Okay? We started off by saying we are the worst person to hold ourselves accountable. So where do we go looking for help? Because we all need it. Every single one of us.
Jennifer too. Just kidding. Our coaches.
Okay, but let's say somebody doesn't have a coach.
Your team.
So they don't have a team.
Another agent. The person right across the hall from you.
I think you find somebody that scares the mess out of you. I think you find someone that you do not want to beat you ever. I think you find that person that you are in fiercest competition with, and you go to them. Why?
Because they'll push you every stupid week.
We all know that
Eat 'em.
when you get, go ahead. Wait.
I was gonna say,
And you
the fear of losing to that person outweighs everything else.
Absolutely.
So if I come to
Because
you,
are there days that you don't have motivation? You know, do you remember the post, did you guys see I put on the Zig Ziglar quote? You know, motivation, people say motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing, that's why we recommend it daily. You're going to have a day that you don't have motivation. That's reality. I get that. Don't expect perfection. I know that that's the case. And yet you still have to perform, whether you're motivated or not. You have to show up. You show up and you do work. And there are days that that fear of losing to that person will be what drives you and carries you. Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that. Why do we resist it? We have to be vulnerable. We have to say, I struggle. You know, maybe that's someone that you don't want to know that, you know, you're weak, or that you don't want to see you don't want them to see you fall on your face, which is exactly the reason they should be holding you accountable. It's not your friend. It's not your best friend. Certainly not your family member. It's somebody that is willing to not cut you any slack, period. Maybe it's somebody from outside the company. Maybe it's somebody from outside KW. You know, you say, hey, listen, let's race. You're at this number, I'm at this number. I don't want you to beat me. You don't want me to beat you. Let's push each other, right? And then, what does it look like? You know, Marcy, you talked about rewards and consequences and things like that. This is where you get. I draw it all the time, but it just shows up all the time. Here's the model. This is where you get to be creative. What are some ideas? What are some things you can do to punish yourself? And nothing, or reward yourself. Either way, consequences. Nothing's going to be a one-size-fits-all, because a steak dinner is not going to work for you. So you can come up with, she's vegetarian, for anybody who doesn't know.
I think using social accountability, like whether it's Facebook or something like this. I worked with Tom Ferry coaching for a while, and he always recommended to have somebody in the business, somebody out of the business, and then use monetary and social. Those are the two biggest ones. Some people, like I was doing for a while, I was doing a lunch with Jason. I'd buy him a lunch if I didn't hit my goal. And then sometimes the goal is only contacts, you know. And then, but I got so used to, I'm like, well, I'm going to lunch anyhow, so shit, I'll just miss my goal today. You know,
It lost its incentive.
it lost its
Absolutely.
incentive. But
Yeah.
remember, I did this thing with this guy
I'm meeting regardless.
in California. I was gonna have to wear a shirt that says "I lead generate like a baby" and post on his Facebook page. Luckily, it didn't happen. But we had the shirt made up, and so then I had because we'd always talk, you know, back and forth. And so then that was helpful. And then the helpful about in the business and out of the business, like with Jason, I've used him a lot of accountability. We know, like, hey, you're not making your calls about this. But my girlfriend is so easy. She doesn't understand a lot of the business. So she's like, what are you doing right now? You're not making your calls. Why? She's like, so simple. I'm like, don't you understand? I have, and all my stuff comes out while I can.
Yeah.
She's like, just make the call. And so I'm like, you don't understand. She's like, no, I understand. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
What are some other ideas? What are rewards? What are consequences? Yes.
I think for me, to do, a reward would be to have the model down enough so I can make enough money to allow me to get in the creative section. I would love to be in the creative section. And so I need to make money to do that, otherwise I won't be able to do it.
Yours has to do with money.
advanced torture techniques.
Waterboarding is not.
Jennifer, I do that. Like I'm a person who likes to reward myself because it's how I'm motivated like that. And so like I do mine quarterly, so I know if I do this, but I also make it where I have to spend X amount of money on that reward, you know? Mm-hmm. So like I like to hunt, and you know, if you know me, you know that. And different things like that. So I have these big things that cost me like a few $1,000s, and I go, okay, if I do all this end of the quarter I get to do this. Yeah.
So something, some big ticket item,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a trip or whether it's a TV or, you know, whatever. It can be something that you build up to over time. What
Do you
else?
recommend weekly, or do you think it's better to do weekly than
I do
quarterly?
recommend weekly myself, just because if 5 weeks go by, you've got so much ground to make up, it's almost impossible, the quarter's shot. You know, if it's weekly, you've got enough time, and I'm not gonna say, well, you're gonna have an off week. I mean, it's gonna happen, you know, Anna, you got sick, Linwood, you got sick, we had a bunch of people fighting the flu, Butch, that thing knocked you out for 2 weeks. I mean, Butch is healthy as a horse, and he just, it happens. Life does happen. You have knee surgery, you're down for, you know.
The thing about making weekly goals versus monthly goals, let's say you want to make 4 sales per month, and you come out in 1 sale per week. Well, if you're in the third week and you only got 1 sale, you got to make 3 that made last week. That's tough.
Yeah.
However, on Thursday, if you haven't made a sale that week, you can work the tail off of the week.
Right. It's a
It's a
little
lot
more
easier.
manageable, it's
Exactly.
eating the elephant one bite at a time. Yes, ma'am.
Also, if I have a deadline, the same thing with the clients, if they have a deadline, you get it done faster. Versus like what he was saying, if my deadline's the end of the month, then I'm scrambling the week before the end of the month. If I have a weekly deadline, then I know that I'm scrambling every month.
You wait till the end of the month.
Within the market center, within the market center, we had a situation where we needed some information from an individual, and we knew that by human nature, we all do that. By when is when we do it, not 3 days before the by when, right? But we had an individual we needed some information from, so we said we needed it by here, because we knew that if he knew it by here, we'd get it that day as opposed to when we really needed it. So we had this whole cushion, because that's human nature, and we understand that that's how we operate. So I recommend weekly. I think you set those rewards. I think that's absolutely smart and right, but I think you measure it, you track it weekly so that you don't get to the 3rd week of February and go, well, my first quarter, I mean, I'm gonna have to like kill myself between now and the end of March to make this happen.
But it's,
Knowledge is power.
yeah, the goal could still be monthly though, you know,
Yeah,
but it's just
absolutely.
tracking on a weekly
Measure it.
toward your
And
month
maybe
or
reporting or not
quarterly.
reporting weekly, absolutely. What are some other ideas? Because this is something that Marcy wants a lot of help on. What's some ideas that we
What are we talking about, going to the gym, or what are we talking about?
rewards or punishments or for anything?
Marcy's
just-
having a hard time rewarding herself, rewarding?
I
never have a hard time rewarding myself.
Well, one that
Because-
would really,
Again, right, that's why we're motivated by pain.
one that would
Because-
really burn is not monetary, is find a realtor that you just really don't like. And tell them, you know, hey, these are my goals, and if I don't meet my goals, I'm gonna write you $1,000 check. Or something of that nature.
I have held 3 checks for realtors that have come into my office and said, here's a check made payable to brand X realtor person that is my nemesis. And, you know, one of them was $500, one of them was
Y'all can hate
$1,000.
me.
Yeah, I know.
Okay?
Yeah, really, send me a check.
Oh dear, don't hate me this year.
But they say, this check for me, here's my rule, if I don't accomplish it, send it. I've never had to send that check. Of all 3 times, I've never had to do it.
I've seen people do it for political
I've seen
campaigns
people
too.
do it for
They're
political
the opposite
campaigns.
of what you would normally donate to.
Cody did that with me one time. I had to write a check to a political candidate that I did not agree with, and let me tell you, that check never got sent because I did the work I had to do. I did not want that to happen more than I did not want to do my work. So, I mean, there's no answer other than just get outside of the box and think of what motivates you. Because none of these may be anything you're passionate about. It's something that you're passionate about. It's something that you don't want to happen. And I do agree, I think I can find ways to reward myself constantly, whether I've performed or not performed. So the idea of, and it's funny because you already are set up like this, right? If you don't produce, you don't make money. If you don't make money, you're in pain. So it's already there. We just need it on a micro scale, on a daily basis. What are your ahas? What are your thoughts? Does this help kind of explain or break down the accountability loop more or less, or give you some insight? What are you thinking?
Big aha on this kind of tracking for me. The first time I ever took 411, I would always, before I took that, I would always set these goals so far out, and it was like you were saying, man, I'd be 6 months into a 12-month goal, it's like, oh my God, I can never, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's just critical to track on a much shorter time frame basis, like we're talking about every week. Because, you know, like Danny was saying, man, you gotta sell one house a week and it's Thursday and you haven't sold it yet, well, heck, maybe you were planning on taking Saturday off, but now you don't get to.
Right.
And to me, that was the biggest key for understanding the 411 and making it work.
Yeah, getting it into
Yeah,
bite-sized
bite-sized
pieces.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, has anybody ever looked, and anybody that takes like business planning for the first time, I watch it, same process happens every time. You see their aha, from the beginning of the class, well, from about the middle of the class to the end. Middle of the class is when you write your annual goal. And you can see, people are apologizing, like, oh, my goal's too big, oh, this scares me, oh, I can't do this, oh my gosh, I'm going crazy. By the end of the class, what does every single one of them say, once you've written your actual business plan?
I can do that.
This is, I can do this. This is manageable. You mean that's 5 appointments a week? That's 3 appointments a week? For some people, that's 2 appointments a week? They go, my gosh, that number scared me to pieces when I saw it in this big annual number, but when I looked at it this week, I can do that, right? It totally helps with mindset.
And I think that's another good reason to track it on smaller increments too, because if it gets too overwhelming, then you go, oh, the market's causing this now. It's not, it's totally out of my control. There's all kind of excuses that you come up with of why you are not on track, whereas if you're tracking it every week, you see what's happening and, you know.
Yeah, we could all sit here, if I said, let's brainstorm on reasons we didn't hit our goals this year, we'd be here for 4 hours. I'd run out of whiteboard space and we'd be on the walls, because we could all come up with those reasons. Any other ahas or thoughts before I let you go? Yes.
The accountability for everything is phenomenal. I mean, I have a coach, I've had a coach for years, and I'm very motivated, very driven on those things. Having Bob Golding, you know, I beat him last year, he beat me this year. We're in it. Like, when we get a contract, we're not nice. Like, we get a contract, we're like, boom, you know? And, it's, you know, and when he's killing it one week, you know, he's rubbing it in and I'm doing it. I mean, it's not nice. And I'll tell you what, I know I have to meet him every single Tuesday, and I'm working my butt off to make sure that I'm better than him. You know, so by the end of the year, both of our numbers are going to be better. Yeah, at the end of the year, you both win, right? And you celebrate. No, I. Yeah, well. So you're clear. So my challenge to you through the end, you've got a couple more dates in January, is to take what we've talked about today, sit down, spend some time sitting down this weekend, Thursday, Friday, look at January, take stock of where you are, make your adjustments, and then bam, let's hit February hard. Do whatever makeup you've got to do from January, bring it into the next month. But look at where you are, track your numbers, and I'd love to be sitting here next Tuesday and hear your thoughts on what you learned from that process, what you found, what surprised you. Maybe you were more successful than you thought you were. Maybe you thought you were more successful than you really were. You know, I'd love to hear, and that's okay. That's why we're here, is to push each other. So that's my homework for you, is to go do this for the month of January for your business. Okay? Awesome. You're out of here. Thank you.
Incorporated in purchase.